Welcome back to another Action Game Maker tutorial. Today I want to talk on how you can save and reuse resources. So with that said, let's get started. Right, so here I am in my sample Basilot quest, and I wanted to kind of show you exactly where I started to notice this pattern and how useful it can be for some things. So when I was creating the menus, for example, you would have a sound that ticks whenever the cursor would change. And where this was very apparent was in my inventory system. And so if we go to the visual scripting of this inventory system, you can see that like you'd have the attack controls, or you'd have the options where you would go from full screen to windowed mode. And if you click on one of these options where it actually changes, you will notice that I started to realize that I can actually save a resource, and then I could name it whatever I wanted, and then I could reuse it as much as I wanted. And the cool thing about it is you will see that I have it in this full screen mode, and I also have it in this got window or go window mode. And so you can see that I just am sharing this everywhere. Now, the cool thing about this is that if I change this resource, it changes for both of them. And so you can see where this is actually. I have what I did was I created a folder that are called pre-made actions. And this could be whatever, but I have a pre-made action, and this one is play the cursor sound, play decision two, which is like something you picked up or something, and then play grab one, which is what I'm using when we switch between the options. And so let's just say that I'm using this everywhere, but let's just say that I found a better sound that I wanted to play. Normally, if I wasn't using a saved one, I would have to go to the play audio wherever it was, and I have to change every single one. But with this one, let's just say I wanted to grab it and change it to something else. I would just double click into this resource, and I would change it in here, and then that would change in every single node that this is in. So it's quite honestly the only way to go with certain things that you are repeating constantly, and that you know there might be a change in something. Maybe it's the volume. Maybe the volume you end up finding it too loud, and now you need it to be 80. Well, now all of these resources are going to play at 80 instead of having to manually go in and do them. Another nice thing about having them saved is you can actually be a little more flexible with them. You can actually call this one, let's just say I found a different name that I wanted, and I wanted to rename this resource to tick one. So once I did that, it will not show it until I click off and back on, but you will see that the resource was able to be named and the path was kept. Additionally, if I wanted to, I could also move this resource. Let's just say I move it out of here, and you can see that the file is still there and it will play. So it knows where the path is, it knows the name. That stuff doesn't matter. You can adjust those all you want. And then the absolute really cool part is that you only have to change it here. So I could change it to this. Well, this one doesn't exist. This one right here, I could change it to arrow one, and now all of them will play arrow one. Okay, so that is the benefits of doing this. How do you actually go about doing this? So this can be done with any action. So let's just say another common one that I realized was, for example, wait. Okay, so a lot of times you'll have a wait here, and you'll be waiting for something very specific. And let's just say that you're waiting for a screen fade or something. Let's just say that you know that it takes 0.2 initially, okay, and you add it. And then you have other things that also are affected by the weight of this screen fade. And so you have weights scattered throughout all of your actions. And then all of a sudden, you change the timing on the fade because it's taking way too long, or it's way too short, and the players aren't liking it, or you're getting feedback on it. And now you have to go back and adjust all of those weights. Well, instead of that, you could quite simply just save this as its own resource. So we're going to save as. I'm going to go to pre-made actions here, and we'll call this one the weight screen fade. All right. And then we're going to save it. And that is going to be the weight screen fade. Now, if I have it in here, I can just up this by one, and then I can click on this and I can drag it right in there. And now that will also provide a weight as well. And now all of a sudden I need to change something. Boom, I just double click on this and then I can change it, and it's changed throughout the whole thing. So another thing is you can do this with link conditions as well. So one very common thing I do, which is also about time is I like to use the wait time of 0.1 a lot. And so I could add this, and instead of just having it like this, I could also save it like this and say this is a time elapse. Let's see, what is it called? Elapse time. Elapse time, and I'll just say what it is, 0.1, and then I'll save it. And now I know that this is an elapsed time of 0.1. And since I use this a lot, I can just keep dragging this in on all my links where I need this. So boom, let's just add one here and then drag it in here. And then, well, let's see right here. So let's see, quick load, and then boom, load it like that. Looks like I might not have been able to drag it in. Maybe I need to, let's try it on one more. Maybe I needed one in there to work initially. All right, so the links, looks like you can't drag them in, but you can quick load them and look for them that way. Okay. So let's look at some more things that would be useful for this. So let's just say that you have a display text. And in this text, you're displaying a name of some sort, right? And you just will click on it like this and you're displaying a name. Okay. So what you could do is you could go down here, you can save it, and you can save it as text name and save it like this. And now you can use it wherever, say you're having a dialogue system and you can use it wherever there. But let's just say that the name changes, you change the story a little bit, or something happens. You can't use the name because it's copyrighted, whatever. You can now go back to this action and you can change the name, and you didn't have to go anywhere else in the game where you did use the name. And you also didn't have to create it every time. You could just literally hone out the layout and everything how you just like it, just like that. Another useful place to put this would be with trigger inputs. So let's just say that you have your new input here and you have it a registered key and you're registering it. Let's just say that you have it action button south. This is the one that I use. It's the action button that is south on a gamepad, for example. And we can actually save this as input action south. All right. So then if we want to go to another link here, we can change this input. We can remove this. And I believe we should be able to drag in here. So input action south. Yep, we can drag that right into there. And now that will be action south. And then for whatever reason, let's just say throughout all the game, we just decided to change the input to be something different. Then we could actually change it from right here and it would change everything. So I think that this is important to know because what I would do personally is when I started realizing that I'm using these things in multiple objects, so more than one object, and that I'm using them through multiple actions and conditions, I think this is a go-to way to make it safe for you to expand the game while being able to go back and flex something if you need it. So I wanted to make this become aware so that you knew that you can save them, that you can edit them from right here, and that they will apply that into the thing. Now, what you can't do is you can't re-edit them once they get in there. They're literally shared, and you won't be able to edit them specifically if you need a tweak. For example, if I add one right here, and then I say, you know what, I want this to be left. If I double click into this, it is now changed to left. So if you are changing them here, you are changing them throughout the whole game as well. So I would recommend the only place you change them is where you're actually saving them. And so yeah, this is one of the coolest things about Action Game Makers. We can have these flexible little modular pieces that we can make and use them wherever we want. If you have any questions, drop them below. You can go to the official forums and Discord. We'll get you figured out. That said, I'll see you at the next video.